Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen with some Talk Birdie To Me bonus content.
So I like doing bonus pods.
So do I.
We spoke about books not long ago, and you and I, as it turns out, love golf books. I've got a stack of them. You've written them.
Why haven't you written one, by the way?
I did videos.
Okay.
Do you know what my video was called?
Go on.
87 tips to make golf simple.
87?
Yes.
You are kidding
That's what
me.
my DVD was called.
Oh, my God.
87 tips to make golf simple. And I promise you, somebody will have it listening. Send it in. I've got it at home. I'll give you a copy, Nick. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk to Gary Lisbon, who travels the world taking some of the most magnificent pictures of golf courses that you've ever seen. His latest book, Great Golf Courses of the World, is a beauty. It's as simple as that. If you've got a coffee table and you play golf, you need to put one of these books right there. It's fair and square in the middle. Gaz, good to see you.
Thanks, Marco. Good to see you, and Nick. Nice to see you as well.
Do you know, when we were talking about you coming on, I mentioned the 1991 official British Open TV show.
Championship, yeah.
And you were running around with the Australian flag and you were interviewed in it. It was fantastic. You had a great big long mullet going, which was hilarious.
I'd love to see that because I don't.
Really, Marco? I don't recall that actually. I got married in 1991, and I don't think I was there. But nice story.
It's you. I've no doubt about it.
All right, fine.
Doubt.
Finchy agrees, does he?
Yeah, Finchy knows about it as well. What were you doing there? What was that about?
I don't know. We can make it up. I was there for 3 weeks, and I just wanted to go to the Open Championship and see an Aussie win.
Yeah,
and Finchy won that year.
How long have you been taking photos of golf courses around the world?
20-odd years. It was a hobby that turned into something a lot more, and it's something I absolutely love. So to date, what is it? Probably about 685-odd courses, 26 countries.
Wow.
And the diversity of golf around the world is just so apparent. You know, we have got some of the best golf in the world with our sandbelt, but then you go to other parts of the world and golf is awesome for a whole lot of different reasons.
So before that, you say the last 20 years, what were you doing before
I was a chartered accountant, as you
really?
tend to be. So I worked for KPMG, and I was a very bad auditor. One of my first audits, actually, Marco, was Kingston Heath Golf Club. I love doing that, and it was very exciting because we do the audit during the day, and then I was allowed to go out on the course. And in an hour, I think I played 15 holes was my greatest achievement. So
when I moved back to Australia, let's see, 5 years ago, I contacted you because you run another business called Golf Select, which is all these corporate golf outings as well. When did you start that, actually? Because, it's an unbelievable business, Mark, by the way.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
I mean, you run how many golf
events? We
events?
do 50 to 60 events a year.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Thereabouts across different states and a few internationally as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been along to a few because, we do some things together.
Great.
And it's so much fun. But, you combine that with the photography, which is playing more of a part these days. I'm assuming it's the running the events.
Well, it's interesting. We've got 3 main parts to Golf Select. So we've got our corporate golf business, which is that side that we mentioned, my photography, and golf travel. So we also organise trips for golfers, whether they're coming inbound to Australia or going outbound. So the 3 complement each other quite well, and we've got a great team that manages each of those departments.
So you've been taking pictures of golf courses around the world. People dream about it. You know, your golf books are magnificent, and if you love golf and you're a dreamer, it's loved the going. Page to page and look at these amazing places. But there's been this invention in the last 10 years called the drone.
Yes.
How big a part of your world now is that magnificent thing going up in the air and getting some of those aerial shots?
Marco, drones are really, really good for a whole bunch of reasons, but they're also quite challenging because any man and his dog can buy a $400 drone, put it up in the sky, take a few photos and call themselves a golf course photographer. So drones are great from my point of view because they allow me to get to different parts of the golf course very, very quickly. I can scout, put the drone up in the morning, see where the sun's going to hit and then head over to that part of the golf course. You also get a whole range of different angles. that you don't necessarily get from the ground. Golf is a three-dimensional sport, as we know when we play it and we look at it. But on film, it turns into two dimensions, so you need a bit more elevation in your shots. Typically, I'd climb up on the back of motorised golf carts or up on a tall ladder, but now it's very much the drone does that kind of stuff.
I've seen you up some tall ladders,
Yeah,
actually, at the
haven't
corporate
you?
outing.
Yeah.
Something. I think a drone would solve that problem, but that's unbelievable. So you've travelled the world, obviously, taking photos all over the place. Now, this book, I was flicking through it the other day, having a look, and you talk about the drones. The shot, for instance, I'm a member at the National, and I was fascinated to see which pictures you chose for the book down there. But there's one which you've taken from off the coastline, looking back onto the golf course.
Oh, wow.
You should see this thing.
I want to see it.
It is unbelievable. Traveling around the world, this book is about more Europe, Australia, Asia. You're going to do a US one because there's no US courses in this one.
There's no US courses, not for not wanting them in there, but the US courses are pretty challenging to deal with. So places like Cypress and Pine Valley and Augusta and so on don't want to be featured in these kind of books. So I have amazing photos, well, I think they are, of Cypress Point, for instance.
I've seen them.
And I'm just chomping for them to be in the book. So my feeling is, well, let's do a good first book, let it sell out, which it's almost sold out, and let's then look to try and introduce some American courses. Yeah, well, they have to be included.
Yeah, and the style of the book is fantastic. It's
unique.
very wide. It's kind of a what do you call that?
It folds up. It's a panorama that folds up. So there's no join down the middle of the book, and in that way you get to see the full breadth of the image without any ugly lines through it.
Yeah, and a lot of them, I'm assuming, were taken when you travelled. What was it, a couple of years ago when you went to Europe?
Post-COVID, 2022. Maureen and I visited 89 courses in 103 days in 11 countries.
Wow. Any favourite in particular?
Oh, yeah, easy.
Oh, okay.
Go to Norway.
Really?
Lofoten Links. Just
is that how you say that, Lofoten?
You say it either Lofton Links or Lofoten Links. Okay. It depends who you're talking to.
Now, is that the one on the front cover?
That's the one on the front cover.
Wow.
That's the one where you get the Northern Lights. You can play golf and get a 2 a.m. tee time if you want during the middle of July.
Amazing. Now, a little later in this bonus podcast, I want you, Nick, and I'm going to do it too, your top 5 golf courses in the world. So get your mind going just at the moment because, the ratings, it's always been kind of Pine Valley, Cypress, maybe St Andrews or Augusta at number 3. But I want yours because of your unique perspective in what you've been doing. So we'll get to that later. But I'm really interested to know the real surprises in golf, in your travels. Because I think we've all had them. We've all turned up at a golf course at some stage and gone, why doesn't this place get more coverage than it does? Now, I imagine you've got a head full of them.
Yeah, head full of them, well and truly. On that trip in 2022, the area that blew me away was actually continental Europe. So places like your France, like Spain, into the Netherlands, then up into Norway, and so on and so forth. We go over to that part of the world and we think immediately of the links courses of Scotland, England, and Ireland. And but there's so much good stuff in continental Europe, so that's great. Also, the other thing is we get obsessed with the top name courses, the rotor courses, etc. But below that, a second tier level, there's some wonderful examples of really nice, fun golf.
Yeah,
Dukes is one. Yeah. Dukes in Ireland.
Dukes. I've never been there. But I've heard amazing things. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I used to go every year and try and qualify for the British Open. And some of the little qualifying golf courses that we got to play, like there's a little place called Littlestone. That was just, I turned up, thinking it's going to be a typical qualifying course. I was blown away with Littlestone. I didn't qualify, but you actually, it's the golf course, that open. I'm on one of those myself, so we're both on one.
Yep.
So I'm in one of those official films as well. We were playing Littlestone that day, and I imagine that's why they sent the cameras out because the golf course was incredible. And there's another one. There's 2 golf courses that they always played. It sounds familiar, but
which open was this
in
for?
Scotland or?
It's not 91. It's the one Greg Norman won. So it's a
Royal St. George's.
It's 1993.
93 or 4.
Yeah, and it's the one that he won, and they go out and they followed this kid through all the qualifyings, and of course I'm playing with him. I've got this filthy look on my face because I've just 3-putted 17, and on 18 I just watched him hole a bomb to take my spot. So I was really, really angry. But that golf course was a ripper. You must, in some of your travels, you must have a couple just belters.
There are belters, Marco. The quirkiness of some of the Scottish courses like Cruden Bay, Farn, North Berwick as well. Just stuff that you couldn't necessarily build in this day and age, but it's actually fun. And I think designers these days lose sight of that fact that golf should be fun. Yes, it can be challenging, but it needs to cover a cross-section of golfing abilities. And I think they lose that thought when they're designing these 7,500-yard monsters.
Do you have a favourite, I guess, or it could be worst story or a favourite story because you've travelled all these different places where maybe the light was wrong and you didn't get the shot that you wanted, or some of perhaps the general managers or whoever's running these courses? I've seen some pictures of you with these general managers and thinking they look like they're having a really good time out there. Have you got a favourite story like that?
I think you're right. Timing is one of the keys of golf course photography. I've got about 45 minutes first thing in the morning and 45 minutes at night. And if I'm outside of that timeline, then the shots just don't quite have that same warmth and richness about it.
It's all about the shadows, isn't it?
It is all about the shadows and the sun not being too high. So
it's funny you say that because my wife, Alana, as you know, is an artist, and she said it's all about the shading, in a person's face. She loves to see wrinkles and character lines, and it'd be the same on golf courses too. 2
courses come to mind quickly. Barnbougle Dunes in Tasmania. I was there doing a shoot, and I headed out to Tom's Little Devil, the 7th hole of the original course, great par 3, and I got there about half an hour too late, so the sun was a little bit too high. Planted that in my head, came back exactly a year later, noted the time, and got the most amazing shot with the richness of colours. Wow. And the other one was Musselburgh Links in Scotland, just out of Edinburgh, arguably the oldest golf course in the world. It's a 9-hole course that's centred around a racetrack. So it's a functioning racetrack. Yeah. And I always wanted to get a drone shot of that particular course with the race course around it. So again, 7 years in the making.
You must have other favourite shots, but the one that I can remember and the one that took my breath away was a picture you took at Kingston Heath of the 10th hole.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Now, this particular shot, Nick, the sun had just come up. And you know how you hear about on the longest day of the year, or and the light shines through a corridor and lights up the back room. It looks like it was one of those shots because there is just one hole lit up, and it's the 10th hole. And I don't know how that has happened, but
that hole in particular, Marco, it's like there's a shaft of light that just comes down again at a certain time of the year because the sun moves quite dramatically. And so you need to be there at a certain time of the year, capture it in a certain light. And you're right, the shaft of light is straight down the hole and then left and right. So the 3rd hole on the left and the 9th hole on the right is just covered in shadow.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
We'll have to get that one. We'll have to put that on our socials if we could, Dan, because it's the one that I just can't get over. You were there at the right time to get the shot. It's just incredible.
And so often it is about that. It's about doing a level of homework, understanding where the sun's going to rise, where it's going to set, and getting a feel for where I need to be at a certain time.
Fascinating for me. There's one photo I know, so you live on the course at Royal Melbourne, which is a pretty cool thing to be able to say, being on site at one of the great golf courses in the world. But there's a photo in this book where, can't remember the angle, but it shows the clubhouse, the 18th green, and in the background we've got the city, and I'm thinking that's got to be trick photography or something going on there, because that is awesome.
I thought it was trick photography as well.
It's not trick photography, it's just cleverly using the depth perception that a zoom lens provides. So I took that shot about 4 East T, got it up, and then you got the 2nd and the 18th and the clubhouse, and then the city in the background. And when you're compressor's shot, it gives the impression that you're a lot closer than you are.
Wow.
But you're right, it feels like Royal Melbourne's been relocated to Richmond.
Brilliant.
With so many new courses going up right around the world, there are some new superstars. The ones, is it in Canada? And they're on the cliffs?
Yeah, Cabot Cliffs and Cabot.
You've done.
Cabot is wonderful.
You've been there. I mean,
I haven't been to Canada. Canada would have been in this book, but COVID took care of that. So Canada's very much the next place I want to go and visit.
Okay. Are there any other newcomers that you've got to get to?
Yeah. The other Cabot course, Cabot St. Lucia,
Right.
which is down in the sort of in the Caribbean. That's a new Crenshaw course that just
So they're
mind-boggling.
They're the two superstars.
Yep.
And I imagine you encounter this on your travels as well. There's a thing that's live at the moment, and it's top 100 hunters, and there are people who just travel the world and tick off all their top 100 golf courses, you know.
Very much so.
They come down now and they get to Royal Melbourne West and they play Kingston Heath, and then they go down to Tasmania and they might come back through Victoria, sometimes sneaks in there down here, and then when they go on home they go to New South Wales and they tick that one off. So the trip to Australia these days ticks off about 6 or 7 or 8.
Well, it does, and you'd think 7 Mile Beach down in Tassie, that will probably end up, based on what I've seen, that might become a must play. And then obviously in New Zealand,
Tara Edie
and TRI North and TRI South, amazing courses there.
So you could come back to this corner of the world and tick off how many in the top 100 these days? 15, 16?
No, probably not that many, but I'd say maybe 8 or 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a good ticket to get.
It's a good ticket to get. And talking about ticking off those lists, there's plenty of people that are on 99 and can't get the 100th. I'll give you a guess which the 100th course is.
Augusta.
Yeah, Augusta.
Oh, okay. I thought it might have been one here in Australia that you can't get on. So
Elliston is the other one.
Is it still in the top 100?
It's been
Elliston
taken out,
has
right?
been taken out, correct.
Yeah. Why is that? Because no one can access it anymore?
Ability to access it, and maybe the owners didn't want it included also.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
That you may not know the answer to?
Sure.
Why is Royal Melbourne Composite never considered in the top 100 in the world? Because I know the West Coast, and I'm a great lover.
Yep.
Royal Melbourne, I love it more than I can tell you. I just think it's just a miracle how everything, like the stars aligned and it ended up being perfect. If Royal Melbourne West is number 8 in the world, then the Composite, and I mean this being nice to the West, the Composite's twice as good as the West, the way it lays out. To me, why wouldn't they go, you know what, this year, don't worry about East and West, you rate our Composite, because I reckon to be top 3.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there were a few years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, one magazine, US magazine, did rate the Composite course. But the underlying argument is that it's not a course you can play every day. It's a composition of 2 different golf courses. And the feeling is, well, let's put in these listings courses that are available on a daily basis. So, Country Club in Brookline, similar thing, composite course, and there's a bunch of others that use a combination of holes from different courses.
Well,
But,
when I give my top 5 a little bit later, I don't play to those.
So you're going to go composite?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Well, Royal Melbourne Composite's in my top 5.
It's so good.
It's so good. Like when the American players come down and they play in the, I think that first President's Cup in 1998. I think every player on that team was basically saying if this golf course was in New York or if it was in Los Angeles, then it's a top 5 golf course in the world. And people don't seem to get that, I don't think, down here.
No, they don't. I mean, Royal Melbourne is special beyond belief. Sure, I'm biased, Nick, as was outlined, but I just think it tests you in every area of the game. It's a very wide driving course, so you may think, gee, I can hit this as far left or as far right as I like, but it's all very much about the second shot. A bit like Pine Valley, if you've been to Pine Valley. Very, very wide fairways, very much a second shot golf course. And if you, at Royal Melbourne, if you short side yourself around the greens, you are not getting up and down at all. You know, you make double, triple out of nowhere. So it's testing like that. Sure, the technology and all of those elements have made it a relatively short golf course, but it still defends itself really, really well when the conditions are up, when the wind is blowing, and when Rich Forsyth has sped up those greens.
Did you have a hole-in-one out there the other day? I was trying.
I had 2 holes. I've had 2 holes in one, but
Okay.
on the east course.
On
Nick.
the east.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, was that 12,
Well, it doesn't count
13?
for some reason. It's on the east course.
No, it counts. It very much counts.
Well, part of the east is composite.
Yeah, I know.
Correct.
Yeah,
Those
east is
were
a ripper.
non-composite holes, but they still count as holes in one.
For sure. Yeah.
I posted on our little WhatsApp group the flyover of Pine Valley the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So that's just been released.
Just been dropped.
And I think it's really nice, that they do that. Is that something you'd ever consider doing, but only doing the great Australian golf courses?
Yeah, I think it's something that's definitely worth
You
doing.
need a good voiceover, man. I'm right here. But
we've got better voiceover.
Yeah, he's sitting opposite you, Mark. So.
but I mean, is that so? Because
They're great though, aren't they?
I think it's just brilliant what they do, and what Golf Digest did, and the way they explain it, and they fly over every single hole, and they give you a little bit of history about the golf course on every single hole. So it's a 15 minutes that you'll treasure. And I've never been there,
Did they, out of interest, I haven't watched that flyover yet, but did they talk about the Shell's Wide World of Whatever match and Gene Littler and Byron Nelson?
Yeah, you got to
and
mention.
how Gene Littler didn't finish one of the holes?
You got to mention. All those things got to mention.
There was a par 3 where he didn't even finish, but they kept it going because they needed to record this match.
And some of the design issues they had up and back. And so in your travels, you would have had just 1,000 stories like that about some of the best golf courses all over the place.
I mean, Pine Valley's got hundreds of stories about it, just about how difficult, intimidating it is and how magnificent it is, how every hole just fits beautifully in with every other hole. And they often say that you could take any hole from Pine Valley and add it to an existing golf course and it would enhance that golf course. I can't think of a weak hole at Pine Valley.
Yeah.
I can think of plenty of scary holes at Pine Valley.
Yeah. Well, that's the way they finish. You mightn't have seen it, but the way they finish is it's the only golf course in the world where it is 18 unbelievable golf holes. Unbelievable golf holes is the way they say it.
And they've created a second shot course there as well.
They have, Fazio did a short course that replicates the approaches to a number of the holes.
Wow.
Have you been in there? Would they let you do something?
No, Pine Valley wouldn't let me do anything.
God.
I've talked to a couple of the Aussie members.
We're going to take a break, and traditionally this is our front nine, and we're going to be back for the back nine in a second, but the back nine's big.
Okay.
Because we're going to get the top 5 golf courses in the world from the 3 of us. That's next.
All right.
Great.
If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. And maybe share it with a friend. Now back to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen. This is Talk Birdie To Me.
So we're talking to Gary Lisbon. He's got his latest book out, Great Golf Courses of the World. He won't tell me how many's left, but I get the feeling there's not many. So you want to be quick.
We're getting close. We've had sales all around the world. We get people that post on their social about where the book is.
Yeah.
So it's on desks in Sweden and it's in Finland and it's in the UK. It's quite cool getting that feedback.
And if you want a beautiful picture from a golf course around the world, we just follow you on Instagram, and
Follow
we
me on
do.
Instagram.
And what's the Instagram tag?
It's Gary Lisbon Golf.
Pretty simple. And you get a beautiful picture from a great golf course from around the world. Well, as promised, I'm going to go first because we want yours last, Gazza. My top 5 golf courses in the world. My number 1 is Cyprus. I just was blown away. I got to play Cyprus.
You're going that way, 1 to 5. Okay.
Yep. So Cyprus was my number 1. It was spectacular in every way. And the way I got to play it, I turned up and they put me by myself. And it was just me and a caddy, and we hit off at 7:05 in the morning. And the day went too fast. I was, the last 3 holes, I'm trying to walk slow to take it all in. It was absolutely ridiculous. Just everything about it blew me away. And it knocked off my number 1 course before that, which was Royal Melbourne Composite. So Royal Melbourne Composite, to me, is in front of some very big name golf courses. And for all the reasons you were saying before, and there's a bit of fluke in it, just to pick all the holes that are on the one paddock. Because if you don't know, how many paddocks has Royal Melbourne got? About 5
We've
or
got
4 or something?
4 paddocks.
4 paddocks. So to make golf easy and crowds manageable, they just put all these holes. They said, come on, let's just put them all on the main paddock. And when they put the holes together, it worked out perfectly. And the way they used to play Royal Melbourne Composite too, 1 to 6, you're back to the clubhouse. 7 to 12, and you were back to the clubhouse. And then 13 to 18, and you're back to the clubhouse. It was sixes. And it just laid out absolutely perfectly. So I loved it. I've got Augusta at number 3.
Oh, really?
It's too big a wow factor for me. And the tournament is a player in my decision here as well. The tournament is enormous. The history is off the charts. The beauty is hard to comprehend once you get there. And if you've never been there and you love golf, it's a tick off.
Yep, once you play it, you might not have it in your top 5. It's so hard.
Yeah. Well, part of it, watching you guys play it, was enjoyable.
Yeah.
You know, watching the struggle. I've never been there, but I've got Pine Valley at number 4, and the flyover is a big. And what you're saying is a big part of why I think it should be at number 4. It's too hard. It just looks crazy hard. Spectacular, yes. Amazing block of land, yes. But my God, there's a couple of holes where you couldn't take your mates. It would seriously, it would take too long. And a golf course I fell in love with straight away, Muirfield. It's on the open rotation. I think it's the best links course in the world. And I think I had to have a links course in my top 5 best courses in the world.
Fair call, Mark. Well done.
Over to you.
I'm going to go for the top 5 that I have played.
Oh, okay.
You see?
Okay.
So
okay.
I can't. I'd have Pine Valley in there, but I haven't played it. Haven't played Muirfield, so I missed out on that one, unfortunately. So my top 5. People always ask me, what are your top 3? And I never rate them 1, 2, or 3. I just say, here's my top 3 in no particular order. But do I have to do an order?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
The old course at St Andrews.
Number 1.
Number 1. Just can't beat it. It is so good. The town, whether it's the town, the history, used to stay there, on the main cobblestone street. I think it's North Road or something like that every year. And it was just amazing. The pubs at night. But the genius of the design is something so unique. When you tee off one, you're actually so nervous hitting off one, but you've got this 100-yard wide fairway sitting in front of you. You possibly can't miss it, but you're still worried about shanking it out of bounds.
Isn't it funny? It's
and
one of the first tees that everybody is nervous on.
Yeah.
You're nervous on, no matter how much golf you've played.
Oh, yeah.
You get to that joint and you're nervous on the first tee.
Peter Thompson used to call the first the best architectural hole in the world of golf, and you go, what, the first? He said, but it's genius. You put the pin at the front next to the burn, and there you go. If you want to take it on, you take it on. Otherwise, you got play to the back and you got 40 feet, try and make par from there. It is ingenious. And how the double greens all add up to the number 18.
Isn't that cool? I love that.
Fascinating. Yeah. You can have, I remember playing the fifth hole, the par 5, I think it is, and I was 10 metres off the front, and I said to my caddy Wilbur, I said, what's the yardage? And he goes, well, you got 95 to the hole. Because the green is about 90 metres long and it was 5 from the back, and it was hilarious.
What'd you do?
Oh, I just hit a full lob wedge. We were downwind, it was okay. But I love the old course. It's always been my favourite. Number 2, like you, Mark, Cypress Point. Just a very special place. If you haven't read The Match, I think we spoke about that last week on our book thing. It's one of the great books, and we'll give you a great description. Those last few holes, when you walk across the road to 15, 16, 17. The back of my first book, Tour Mentality, actually has a picture of the 17th at Cypress that I took, and I love that place. So understated too.
Yeah, it is.
You can't find the entrance half the time. You're like, well, where is this place?
Yeah.
So it's brilliant.
The walk from 15 to 16 is one of the most beautiful walks. I filmed my walk.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe this, I was 4 under walking to that walk.
Oh.
4 under par.
And then what were you?
And then I hit 3 balls in the Pacific in a row, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
I just couldn't care less. It was just so good.
Yeah.
The next hole, I'll post that as well. If you've never been there, it's
just 240 yard par 3 over the ocean.
Members plays a par 4, I think. It's par 4/par 3, but it's a par 3 if you go there for the first time. Yeah.
I can't actually remember what I made on the score because I was just so enamoured by the whole play. I probably hit one in the water. I don't know, but I played there several times. I was lucky because my buddy who lives at Pebbles is a member there, so we used to go there the week of the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. So that was my number 2. Number 3, Royal Melbourne Composite. And I agree with you. It is so good, and I just wish I'd have won around there. I'm still cursing Craig Parry beating me in that playoff that year.
He held a few putts on you too, didn't he?
He holds several of them. Anyway. But hey, as you can tell, I'm completely over it. But that, when you think about courses you'd love to win at the top of the list for me would be Royal Melbourne and St Andrews. Augusta, I get, but those two, it's iconic. And when Zach Johnson, when he finishes his career, he's won the British Open at St Andrews, and he's won at Augusta. I mean, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
It's a Hall of Fame career just there.
Number 4 for me, love this place. Again, the town, the golf course, incredible, the scenery, Ballybunion.
Never been there.
In Ireland.
I've only seen pictures.
Played an Irish Open there, and it was so good. The caddies used to have a competition there on the for the week of who could drink the most pints of Guinness throughout the week. How many do you think?
50
for the week?
Yeah. How many?
Oh, more
100.
than that. Yeah.
100 pints is
100 pints
what
of
won.
Guinness for a week.
That's averaging almost 15 a night.
Oh, you would be ill. Oh.
Yeah, I think when he went to the toilet, it was coming out black.
Oh,
so, yeah. Anyway.
God.
But Ballybunion's just an amazing golf course.
Yep.
And obviously, the cemetery to the right, there's famous
It's
stories
a good
about
opening
that.
tee shot there, isn't it?
Yeah, don't hit it right because you're dead, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So didn't they make Tom Watson an honorary member or
Yes,
something like that?
Tom was really the person that put Ballybunion on the map because no one really knew about it 30-odd years ago.
He went there to
And
practice
he was
roping,
raving about it, and all of a sudden it's a
Okay.
great revenue.
My number 5, you will have never heard of this, either of you. It's a par 3 course in North Carolina, across the road from Wade Hampton, called Headwaters. Have you heard of that, Gary?
Never heard of it.
No, I haven't.
I told you.
You got me, Nick.
You're
You
never
got
going to.
me.
So Wade Hampton's a great course.
Yeah.
I think it's top 50 in the US, designed by Tom Fazio. But some of the members got together and put this par 3 course together across the road. They wanted a little private thing. About 30 of them put in $500,000 or $1 million each, as you do.
Yeah.
And they built this 9-hole par 3 course, which is out of this world.
Wow.
From a 60-yard hole to a 250-yard hole. And
Now
it
I gotta
is
go look that
so good. Well, you can't play there unless you know a member, all that sort of
Can
stuff.
we organise
but,
Gaz to go take some photos of it?
yeah, I know some members,
Yeah, good, love
so I think that's. Have you been to Wade Hampton?
No, I haven't. Wade Hampton's
That's another
on my
one.
list. Yeah,
That'll be
I
on the list.
Need to get there.
So once you get there, ask them about across the road,
Sure.
about 100 metres up. You'll never know it's there because you can't even see the gate.
Yep.
It is an amazing place,
Okay.
and I might have just given away a very private secret, but hey, to all our US listeners, go and have it. No,
That's
I'm
right.
kidding.
Mate, we're a long way away.
Yeah,
Don't worry
exactly.
about it.
So that's
Don't
my
worry
top
about
5. There you go.
it. Righto. Over to you,
Hard
sir.
act to follow, gents, and some very worthy choices. For me, number 1, for a whole host of reasons, Cypress Point. I have been fortunate to have played it on a number of occasions. I've got some amazing memories, including making eagle on the 9th.
Ooh.
Last time I was there in June. Drove to the front of the green, hold the putt.
Wow.
So great, short, masterful par 4.
Yep.
That's part of the June
Part of the
section,
8 and 9 there, yes.
So the great part about Cyprus is the first 6 are kind of
Wooded.
parkland, tree
Yeah, you
line.
do. Mm.
Middle 6 are dunes. Last 6 are
Ocean.
coastline. The only downside to Cyprus.
Everyone's going to say the 18th hole,
I
right?
kind of like the 18.
I don't mind the 18th. I think
look,
it gets a...
You talk about Pine
bit of a
Valley
bad
having
rap.
18 great holes. I'm not sure that one's a great hole.
Not a great hole, but I like it.
It gets you back to the clubhouse.
Yeah, I like it.
Get you back to the clubhouse. The drive, you need to go a long way left. You need to hit over
Yes.
that tree, and the approach is quite a challenging
Anyway.
approach. But again, you read the match, and how good is that?
How it
the
finished.
finale,
Yeah.
the way that it finished.
So good.
So Cypress Point, for those reasons, I remember the first time I played, the heart just pumps at 1,000,000 miles an hour as you're coming through, because they've got a very understated sign. They've then got a nice statement that says trespassers prosecuted will be shot on sight or something, words to that effect. And you sort of think, have I really been invited here? You then get up to a very small, intimate clubhouse, and then your first drive is hitting over 17-mile drive.
Mm.
So it's just special in every sense of the word.
And you just trust your caddy. You go, where do I hit it? Because you can't see down there.
Yeah, you do.
Yep.
You do indeed. So Cyprus, a wonderful Mackenzie course. Following on another amazing Mackenzie course that I'm blessed to play on a regular basis, which is the West course at Royal Melbourne. So
Okay.
I'm not going to go composite. I'm going to go West course because I love the composite, Marco. I do. But the West for me is just an examination of every club in the bag, your whole mental process. Nick, you and I were chatting about a wonderful 11 holes that I had there last week. Can I tell the story really
go
quickly? So I was playing with some Canadian friends, and I was actually playing quite well. I'm about a 5 handicapper.
Quite well. You were
And
unbelievable.
and I parred the first 5, bogeyed 6, parred 7, parred 8, and I made an eagle up 9. Now 9 is a par 4 sort of uphill, so hold a wedge. So 1 under, I parred 10, parred 11, amazing up and down, striped it down 12, and then the wheels sort of came off. But I didn't choke. The wheels just came off a little bit, and shall I say, the last few holes weren't as good as the first few holes.
Well, I'm impressed that you parred 11. That is one of the toughest par
You know,
fours in the country.
Went over the back of the green, got up and down from over the
Oh,
back.
you never get up and
It's
down.
extraordinary. Yeah, to a
Did you
back
hold
pin.
a bomb or did
No,
you?
to a back pin. Hold it. Putted
Chipped
it
it
to about
close?
4. No, putted.
Okay.
I don't chip, Marco. So number 3 is this course that none of you have heard of, but I'm trying to tell the world about it. It's the front cover of my book, and that's Lofoten Links in Norway.
It
Hard
looks
to get to. Hard to get to. You fly to Oslo. You then get another internal flight for 3 hours up to Venice. You then drive for 3.5 hours on very narrow roads with huge lorry trucks coming in the opposite direction. And you get to this course that's open 4 months of the year, has the most exquisite backdrops, and a really, really good golf course. It was a 6-hole hobby course that turned into 9 holes, turned into 18.
Wow.
And it just got rated in the World Top 100 by US Golf Magazine.
Northern Lights in the background.
Northern
I
Lights
imagine?
in the background. Maureen and I walked out to the course at midnight one night just to try and get that, and we got the shots there. It's just special.
What's it like when you see the Northern Lights?
Oh, it's the most amazing natural phenomenon I've ever seen.
the Aurora Borealis, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think
There's
it
the
is.
Southern Lights and
Yep.
the Northern Lights, but I
Yep.
think that's it. And they just shimmer above you. They shimmer and they move, and the colours are just explosive.
They look close. 'Cause every time I see a picture of them, they look close to me.
They look close, but they just get you because of the captivating way that they move, a bit like waves coming into into a beach. So you must get there. Hard to get to, but you will not forget a game of golf there.
Okay.
Righto.
All right, so
I'll
that's
rely on
number-
your book.
Yeah.
But
Number 3, and there's 8 pages in my book on Lofoten. I loved it that much. Royal County Down in Northern Ireland. Wonderful golf course. Again, great backdrops. One thing I have to be careful of is I'm a photographer and I'm a golfer, and sometimes I can let the visual elements of a course get in the way of what might be a great golf course. But County Down is exacting and tough and challenging in every sense of the word. But when you play well there, you know you have played well. So Royal County Down. And then 5th one, relatively new course in the land of the long white cloud, which is Tom Doak's course at Taraiti. So just north of Auckland.
I haven't been there yet.
I'm heading there in March for the
Oh,
member
wow.
guest.
Oh, you will
with
love it.
Alana.
You will love it.
Yeah.
You'll love just the understated nature of it, the way that you can play with the same golf ball for as many rounds as you play. You won't lose a ball there. The way things funnel into the fairway, and yet it can be testing as well. So
Can't wait.
you'll love that.
Yeah.
Alana will love that as
There
well.
are people I trust who say it's the best course in the world. I can't believe it. I mean, I've seen the photos. It looks unbelievable.
No,
but
it's very, very good.
Well,
Oh.
our friends Mark and Ann Robinson, who are taking us for it, Mark, he just raves about
Yeah.
this place. It's unbelievable.
righto.
Can I give 3 honourable mentions?
Of course you can.
No, we
Okay.
can
This
make
is
this
your
top 5
bonus
anything.
podcast. Yeah.
All right,
Nick
so-
does it every week.
So I think, and Nick's right, the old course at St Andrews, just for me, you stand on that first tee, you hit your tee shot, heart pumping, you miss the burn on your approach, and you're away. Traditional all the way out, then all the way back.
Yeah.
So you may play really, really well. Someone likened my round at Royal Melbourne. They said at Royal Cinque Ports, which is where he's a member, they call that going out like a Ferrari and coming home in an ambulance. And that's pretty much what can happen at St Andrews as well. So to see Cam Smith win the 150th Open at St Andrews with thousands of Aussies around was one of the best golf experiences of my life. As a golf course, fantastically challenging and testing in different ways.
Yep.
Different ways from the more modern courses that rely on other.
Yeah, I remember playing there thinking, why is that bunker over there? I'm never
Yeah.
going to go there. And the next day the wind shifts and you go, oh, hang on, I'm trying to avoid that because you can actually play up the other fairway. That's the play on the day. So
Yep.
it's fascinating.
Very, very much so. Pine Valley, for just being what it is, 18 exceptional golf holes, very private environment, but just exquisite in every way, and scary, intimidating as well.
Haven't been there, but I can't
And
wait.
another scary, intimidating one to finish it off is Oakmont.
Oh,
So
yes.
a bunch of years
Yeah.
ago, Oakmont got rid of a whole lot of trees, and it's been said that they could host with a week's notice. They could host the US Open. The conditioning is exceptional.
I can lay testament to that because I played the 2007 US Open there, and on the Monday the members were saying, we have the greens much quicker than what you guys have got it this week. But the cut that week was, I think, 10 over, and I remember playing pretty well. Finished 15 over par for the week, and I finished 23rd.
Unbelievable.
That's how hard it was.
Cabrera?
I think
Is that when
Cabrera
Cabrera
won, and he
won?
was 5 or 6 over, yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
So hard.
The fairways run as fast as greens on many golf courses.
Yeah. Aaron Badley was leading either on the Saturday or Sunday, 4-putted the first for triple.
With
or
Tiger.
double.
With Tiger watching every putt.
Yep.
He just, in fact, Tiger wasn't watching. Tiger was glaring at him, trying to put him under pressure, and he just went 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yep.
I made my first par there on the 13th hole.
Did you?
Took a while.
But I had about 3-4 putts and a couple of 3 putts. And I was intimidated.
Hardest greens in the world.
Yeah, most difficult.
Well, Gaz, it's been a pleasure. Great golf courses of the world. How do we get it again?
Get it online, greatgolfcoursesoftheworld.com. You can go on my social media and order it online as well. And we ship free shipping within Australia. Price of $135. Well worth it.
Oh, yeah. I got a copy on my coffee table at home.
great.
And I love it. Just flick through it every so often, looking at because there's still a few pages that I haven't flicked through, and it's brilliant. I love how a little bit of a homage to Royal Melbourne, how at the start it's basically all about Royal Melbourne, which is great, yeah.
Royal was the first course in the book and has the most number of pages, Nick.
Absolutely.
And it's the last images as well.
I've just got the official film up where you're running around with the flag.
Yeah, okay, show me.
We'll get you at some stage. There you are, waving the flag.
Oh, brilliant.
That's you. Did you see that?
It is not me.
That's you.
It is not me, Marco.
I'm telling you, it's you. Gazza, good to see you.
Thank you, Marco. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks for being part of Talk Birdie To Me with Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen. And if you want to be part of the show, drop us a message or comment on the socials. Or you can send an email or leave a voicemail at talkbirdietome.com.au. Thanks to the great team at Ping. They're the best in the business and they'll help you play your best. And the Golf Clearance Outlet. If you're after top quality at prices you won't beat, check them out. golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. Talk Birdie To Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design, Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com.